Well, Nathan, good going into a game against the traditional rivals with a bit of form on your belt.
Yeah, in terms of getting the win, yeah, our offence was a lot better, and at the same time, there's been elements of our game that have been going well that stood up. We needed to defend well, and Geelong, I think, they'd averaged almost 50 points more in the first 5 games than what they were able to score against us. So defensively, it was a really strong performance, and the offence is starting to get there. And yeah, we want to build from that and continue to improve.
Did you feel like you played that much differently, or just things clicked a little bit more? You weren't far off the previous weeks. It was just a difference between a W and an
L. No, I think the round one was close to how we wanted to move the ball, and our offence was pretty good. We were able to shift it, be a little more dynamic, and the pace and the tempo of our play. We made good decisions on when to go fast and when to go slow. Against Richmond we were poor. Sydney started well, and then it became a dour affair on a small ground. And I think through St Kilda and Essendon we just weren't able to do it often enough. So I think we just in the end you sort of get more committed to doing and playing your way and doing what we need to do. So it happened to come off for us, and it's a bit of there's an equation in there as well, that the opposition need to allow some of that, and we know that at times you'll be defended better than other times, and even within games. So we're able to make the right decisions more often than not. So it's something we're capable of. We just need to do it more often.
And just following on from that, it was the Geelong game was described as a very Collingwood win, given your last couple of seasons. Backs against the wall, an upset win. The thing now is the consistency, isn't it? Just to get you. Much better you guys will be if you can get 4 or 5 on the trot now.
Yeah, look, the only way to debunk any of that is to
do it.
I don't know how we can have a less Collingwood win, but we'll try and do it for you, Rog. We want to be more predictable in the way we play. There's, for varying reasons, we haven't been able to do that, and but we've got some pretty good continuity with our personnel at the moment. The list is in relatively good health, but in the end we understand that it's on us. So we're really looking forward to every opportunity to continue to improve.
That personnel changes this week. Varco with a hammy, because Jordan De Goey comes straight back into things.
Yeah, so Varks he's got a slight sort of hammy tear, and I know that we said he's out this week. I mean, it's going to be 2 to 3. We won't take any risks with him. So we're sort of going to make decisions around what we do with his replacement in the role that he played the last couple of games in that half back role. So we've got a decision to make there. Obviously, Geordie's performed well last week, and he's clear to be selected. But we had some pretty strong performances in the VFL. Ben Crocker's sort of up and about. Rupert Wills, obviously Ben Reid and Jackson Ramsey both didn't play on the weekend. So we've got some fresh legs there to call upon, and we'll get through. We have our main session tomorrow, so we'll know a little bit more after that.
And then you've got the factor of the third game in 12 days. So like Essendon made a stack of changes last week. Does that become a situation for you?
We have had a discussion about that. Like I did make an issue of the scheduling being sort of 2 days difference in the sides. Clearly, Anzac Day is going to throw up a few quirks, and that's we understand that. But yeah, it's either 3 games in 12 days or 3 in 14, like it normally is. So I mean, you can paint it the other way and say, well, we probably haven't trained as much we don't train as much during the week, so our total load is decreased anyway. But we'll find the best messages to get the best result, and but we'll be right to go.
If Ben Reid does come back in, Lyndon Dunn was obviously pretty good on the weekend. Do you think about where you're playing in terms of which end of the ground?
Yeah, you do. I mean, because you end up needing to choose the option that results in the best team performance, and the individual will be subservient to the whole, and but at the same time you want to maximise each player's strengths. And for mine, Reedy's an All-Australian defender, and he's still, if he's not our best tall defender, he's right very close to it. But we've had some really strong performances in that part of the field, and there's a lot of competition for spots. So as the season wears on, we'll continue to look for the best mix. But we won't be, as I've said continually, we won't be undoing a part of the ground that's been pretty strong for us to fix another if we believe that there's other alternatives that we want to have a look at first. So Reedy, if we bring him back in, we'll play it down back.
Is he straight back this week, or still has a little bit to do?
If we get him in, but he's fit and he's up and about, and but we've got a lot of blokes that are performing. I'm not here saying that we're not going to pick him, because the likelihood is he comes straight back in. But we haven't decided on the mix yet. If he comes in, there's going to be someone unlucky to miss, and it might be a management issue again for us. But we'll make those calls tomorrow afternoon.
Bucks, just back on De Goey. So I guess the external view would be that he's a quality player that's probably in your best 22. But are you sort of saying just because he's available again, he's not a guarantee to come back in? He might have to spend another couple of weeks in the VFL to prove himself.
Yeah, I suppose I don't want to be on the hook either way.
Yeah.
I mean, the reality is that everyone wants an answer, and we'll get to that in good time. But Geordie has attacked what's been asked of him from the football club with everything in his power. He's ticked every box that we've asked him to look at. He's done the work externally through the Salvation Army. He's been more diligent with his planning and execution of what his sort of work week would look like, or his football week would look like with the leaders. And his footy and his training standards have been pretty high. So we're not going to hold him in the shackles for any longer than he needs to be. But he's suitably chastened with the penalties that he received and the reasons for them. We don't need to whip him any further, and he'll be available for selection if we think it best suits the side now. But he couldn't have done any more in that 6 or 7 weeks than he's done.
Bucks, what did you see in Darcy Moore? Obviously the ball came in a bit quicker, but how excited were you in the progression from him?
Yeah, look, I think it's a bit of there's two sides to that equation, isn't there? There's the type of ball use through the back half or the back 2/3, and then the options that the forwards are providing. And Darcy's work rate's been pretty good. He's copped a lot of focus and criticism, but I think I actually spoke to Peter straight after the game, and I hope he saw a little bit of what we plan to do, and that is that Darcy is just one of 6 forwards. He's he's a 6'5" aerial target for us, but he's not the only aerial target. And we'll find, if you get Alex Fasolo or Jamie Elliott, Scott Pendlebury, or some of our mids sort of down there one-on-one, they're great aerial threats as well. Will Hosk and Elliott. So we're not just relying on Darcy Moore to be an aerial threat for us as a lone sort of aerial target, but you can see that we spread the goal kicking a fair bit. We don't want to rely on one guy. We don't want to rely on 2 guys. We want to be able to score from multiple sources, and Darcy was a beneficiary of the fact that the load was spread more, and so was Jamie Elliott and Tim Broomhead and the rest of the forwards. So we'll keep looking to do that, and Darcy just becomes one of our mix in the front half.
It's a great day on Saturday, but you got the cups being presented, and if you're Carlton, you'd say, "Geez, this would be great to gatecrash this party." How do you manage that? You can't manage it, I suppose. But there's a danger there.
Always, but no, we won't be spending that much time thinking about how they're going to approach it. It is a significant milestone for the club, and we'll acknowledge it through the week and leading into the game. But we also acknowledge that our main contribution to it will be performing for a couple of hours on Saturday afternoon. So, most of our focus is going to be there, but there is a small matter of 125 years of history that is being acknowledged on this particular occasion. And most times you play Carlton, the history comes up pretty strongly anyway. So it's good. They're good games to be involved in.
A couple of weeks ago, when Carlton beat Essendon, they said that Sticks came into the rooms before the game and made a point of this is Essendon. Do you do anything like that?
Yeah.
Is that so?
We don't get Sticks. No, we wouldn't get, no.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Probably a bad choice.
We wouldn't get him in.
But is that something you try and get into the players?
The emotive and motivational elements are still a big part of footy. Whether they're as big as the supporters would, or the
media.
The sort of other generational footy fans would like to see or feel or hear. Maybe not quite at that level, but I think that cultural, emotional connection that we feel to the club is probably felt. I think the players feel it to each other, and then to the Guernsey, whereas the supporters, it's club Guernsey and then players after that. So we're pretty strong in it. We understand that we're a part of a club with a very proud and long history, and we do acknowledge that, and the players do appreciate the opportunity they have and the responsibility that comes with it. But in the end, they've also got their careers to take advantage of, and this is a game of AFL footy. They're really looking forward to playing and going and showing everyone what they're capable of.
Has it still got the same cachet? Do you think their rivalry bucks? I mean, I guess the raw facts would say these two clubs haven't played in a final against each other for sort of 30 years.
Is that what it is? Is it 30 years?
88, I think.
88, really?
I think, yeah. So does it still have, do you think in that modern, talk about generations, the same cachet as it maybe had 20 years ago? Is it more of just another game of footy as opposed to sort of the rivalry in the league?
Well, I don't reckon in my time at the club that it's ever been, where people have told me it was, like through the 70s in particular. And there's a reason for that. It's because neither side have been up at the same time. I know in '94 we lost narrowly to West Coast in the first final over there, and would have come back and played Carlton at the MCG, and the would have, could have, that was probably the closest that it got to in my time, and I've been at Collingwood for a fair while now. So I think it'd be great to see both clubs up and about at some point, and it will happen. It's just a matter of when. But even having said that, when the two clubs get together, there's a fair bit going on, and it carries a fair bit of weight amongst the respective armies, and we're very aware of that.
Like I think Pete wrote, you've been here for half your life now. I mean, how proud are you? You've obviously had chances as a coach and a player to be elsewhere, but how proud, given the 125th, to be such a Collingwood man?
It's a bit eerie coming back here because Monday, Tuesday and Thursday nights at sort of 5 o'clock we used to train here when I first arrived at the club, and Michael Christian had come after a full day at the as a stockbroker and just lift three sets of 8 sort of bench press to sort of do a little bit of a dance, and that'd be his full training. He wouldn't do much more than that. But this was under Lee, and it's changed a lot. Things change a lot. We've moved into the city and had the Lexus, then the Westpac, and now the Holden Centre, and it's become an inner city club, and we're very close to everything that's going on in the Olympic Park district. But the spiritual home of the club is here. Our VFL still get to play here periodically, and it's good to come back. But the people that have been around for a long time, the supporters of the club, they remember sitting around these terraces and how loud it got and how adversarial it got for our opposition, and we try and replicate that as much as we can in our home games at the G. But I don't know if you ever can quite replicate the emotions that you have when you were a part of, a 35,000, if we got that many, strong sort of Collingwood crowd basically sitting on the oval. It's just pretty good memories, and it's but that's now a bygone era, mate. We're talking about, and what's to come is a product of whatever we put in and how we're able to take advantage of our chances, and Saturday's one of those.
You want the fans to be as loud as they were here? I mean, obviously, it's a big part of Saturday's game.
Well, in my time, I've been very aware of how much a victory over Carlton means to the Magpie Army, and I don't think you can ever underestimate how important that is to our fans. And, you know, I suppose it's important for them to know that we understand that. But we're never going to give any less than 100%. So if you're looking for a little bit extra, I don't know if we can find it, you know, because we want to give our best every time we put the jumper on. And if you're able to find extra for a particular occasion, well then maybe you're not going hard enough in the others, but we'd like to be consistent with our effort.
The greatest 125 have been named. In the latest 25 is Gavin Brown. Your thoughts on playing alongside him and his contribution?
Yeah, Brownie was a gun. He was yeah, sure, he was my captain in '94, and then Brownie for 6 years after that. And I learned a lot about how to go about footy. Brownie wasn't that forthcoming with too much advice or in regards to words, or but he'd do it by deed. And if you look at that game against West Coast in '94, the last quarter he played as a full forward, kicked 4 goals, and nearly dragged us over the line single-handedly. He was an amazing player, and just have his son sort of at the club now sort of puts it in perspective a little bit. Yeah. If you want to feel old, I'd recommend sort of getting involved in the second generation at some point in your industry. So
Brown and Dacos.
Thanks for that, mate. Yeah, but no, it's great to see, and I think that, you know, that's why the father-son in particular is a great concept. We've got to maintain that as much as we can. But yeah, Callum's going well, and I think we're going to hear from both of those boys in the media at some stage over the next 24 hours, and it'll be good to reflect on a couple of generations, or a generation apart, that have both represented the same club and recognise that history. I think that's a great opportunity on a marquee day like this.
One on the game, Bucks Greenwood obviously did extremely well.
Yep.
One of the best players in the comp last week.
Yep.
Do we assume that he goes to Murphy or Gibbs, and is the tagger sort of coming back into vogue?
No, you shouldn't assume that, and not necessarily.
You said he was going to play forward last week.
Yeah, no, I don't lead you off track, but we will use our players to our best ends, and usually that is not telling the opposition what you're going to do before you do it. But we'll have our own plans, and I dare say they'll involve Levi. But yeah, it was a significant performance. But yeah, we'll just leave it at that. Does anyone want to know what Pendles and Selwood were talking about?
Oh yeah, so,
yes.
I don't know. Did you guys get any sleep on Monday night? Like, it's not knowing what they said. Were you able to relax?
Are you being sarcastic, Nathan?
A little
sarcastic.
Yeah, a little. I'm glad that they actually got on air and you're able to relax and enjoy the rest of your days. It's good.
Big yarn, Bucks. Big yarn.
Oh, massive yarn. Massive yarn.